Very much appreciate everybody taking the time this morning to join us for this event. This is really the first time that we're coming out this sort of a forum on the Blue Line Extension project to talk about the Blue Line Extension project with the industry. My name is Shaheen Khazar-Difari. I'm the Deputy Project Director for the Blue Line Extension project. I have other folks with me here today that I'll let them introduce themselves as we get to the sections they will be speaking to on this presentation. But what we'd like to cover today, again, up until now, Blue Line Extension project is in the preliminary development stages of its design, and so a lot of the outreach that we've been doing has been community focused, general public. And as we move further in and start seeing implementation and construction in the horizon, we wanted to start this engagement and bring this project to the forefront for industry and contractors as well. So what we'll speak to today, give a general project overview, status update of where we're at, what developments there have been on this project. We'll cover some key project elements along the alignment and the corridor. We'll speak to the procurement strategy and what our next steps are, the tentative procurement schedule, and OEO will also share some updates on some of the requirements on workforce and DBE, etc. In terms of project overview, for those of you that are from this region and in the metropolitan area, you may already be familiar with the existing Blue Line light rail, which connects downtown Minneapolis to South Metro to MSP Airport and Mall of America. A single seat line that's fast, reliable, frequent all-day service. And this project will be an extension, it's a 13.4-mile extension northward, connecting that system to North Minneapolis, Robbinsdale, Crystal, and Brooklyn Park. It's a $3.2 billion project estimated at this stage. This is based on the preliminary design plans. And of course, with the extent of construction, in addition to bringing transit to communities with this, there's a huge focus on building community through community prosperity, rather through anti-displacement measures that make sure that we maximize the value that this project provides to our customers and to the community. In terms of project schedule, 2024 has been a very busy year. There's been a lot going on with both development of the preliminary design plans, as well as environmental work, and also a key milestone that we had to reach, which was municipal consent approval. So what I'd like to focus on and where we're at is between these two summer 24 and final design box. That's going to be our focus in 24-25. So environmental work is going to continue. We have to finalize our supplemental environmental impact statement. This is a federally funded project to some extent between Hennepin County and the FTA, and how this project is funded. So it is important that we follow the federal guidelines and procedures, including the National Environmental Policy Act and the Environmental Impact. As that's ongoing, we have already developed 30% set of plans. We have look at in person here as well. That's the set that went to the corridor cities for review and approval. And you'll see that shortly here as well. Where we're headed, 25, we hope to finalize design and the major civil construction contract in early 27. There will be other construction early work that may happen in 26 as well, but we're looking at 27 for that major construction contract. And to get there, this event and some of the other steps that we've been taking is going to help. So one key step is to finalize our procurement strategy, and we hope to have that determined by this fall, which help us determine our construction schedule and all the other assumptions that will go into this. So there's plenty more. This is a very high level snapshot. What I ask is to check our bluelineext.org website frequently. There will be updates that will be rolling out. There will be a lot more that we're also going to develop on that website that will be focused towards the industry in the coming weeks and months as well. In terms of status updates, just quickly going over some of the recent developments. As I mentioned, we had municipal consent process that was completed with the last city of Minneapolis voting on October 2nd. This was for them to essentially approve the preliminary plans as it pertains to the general alignment, station locations, and alignment termini. And it went through with 33 elected officials out of the 38 elected officials throughout the entire corridor voting in favor of the project. So it has strong support along the corridor, and that milestone is helping us move forward. With that vote, each city also identified certain priorities that they would like us to focus as we develop design, and that has some impact to our scope. There's some changes and there are some refinements that we'll go through. Changes that Nick will touch on here shortly is an additional station. So our original plan had 12 stations along the alignment. We have an additional station that will be added at Washington and West Broadway as a result of our coordination with the city of Minneapolis. And there will be a relocation of the Robbinsdale station at 40th Avenue from south to the north of that intersection. That's not something that in our 30% design plans, you can see it being on the south side of that intersection. There's also some continued evaluations of the Lowry station and other station or scope refinements that, again, we'll hear about shortly. And with that, I'll hand it over to Nick.
Thanks, Shaheen, and thanks everybody for coming. I'm Nick Landwehr. I'm the Director of Engineering and Design for the Blue Line Project. I've been with the project since we opened the office in 2015. Prior to that, I was on Green Line as an engineering manager for the Central Corridor of the Green Line project. So I work for Metro Transit. So you can hear me okay back here. I can hear the sound up here. Make sure we got everything back there. So we're going to go through just briefly the alignment. As Shaheen said, we'll have some roll plots out here, and if there's any questions regarding the alignment, you're wrong, happy to answer whatever I can. Again, just to recap here, we're just shy of 13.5 miles of alignment. We started right over here at Targetfield Station. We come off, this is an extension of the existing Blue Line, and we'll come off of Targetfield Station, run through the North Loop area here, cut across on a new bridge at 21st and through Minneapolis, catch up with West Broadway, follow West Broadway up to about North Memorial Hospital, which is Lowry Avenue. At Lowry Avenue, West Broadway changes into County Road 81. We'll continue on County Road 81 through Robbinsdale, Crystal, and when we get north of 694, the alignment shifts over onto West Broadway up in Brooklyn Park, and then Brooklyn Park, we continue center running through Brooklyn Park up to the northern terminus, which is Oak Grove Parkway, just north of 610. We're at the north side and working on just some key elements. So On the very north end of this project, up north of 610, we will have an operations and maintenance facility up here. Facilities for roughly around 32 vehicles in there. We'll have light maintenance in there, paint booths, wash bays, wheel spraying machines, things like that. So very similar to our Franklin facility here. So this will accommodate that line in the vehicles there. So on the very north end and working our way down. So our first station on the north end is at Oak Grove Parkway. So north of 610 for this project, if anybody's familiar with it, it's pretty much a green field up there. Target Corporation has their northern campus, but otherwise pretty quiet in that area. So with this project, we will be setting up the roadway network there to accommodate our station and where the maintenance facility is. And with that, we'll have, work with the city, have backbone utilities in place, get that roadway framework in place. We have a station here at Oak Grove Parkway. And with that station, we'll also have a park and ride in there. And that park and ride is roughly probably going to be about 500 vehicle. Within this block, the city of Brooklyn Park is looking at development. I should note there, again, most of our alignment is going to be at grade. We try to be center running within the roadway with the project. The stations, for the most part, if we can, would be center platform stations. We try to keep those consistent. So this would be that Oak Grove area from the station, looking at the park and ride, and the black indicates some potential future development. Moving our way through Brooklyn Park, we have 5 stations in Brooklyn Park. This area at 85th is very typical of the stations that we'll have in Brooklyn Park. This is at North Pennsylvania Community College. So on the left-hand screen, you can see that station platform in the middle of the roadway with access at grade for folks. So each one of those platforms, we try to keep a consistent footprint on them. So, all of the platform, the mechanical, the duct banks and stuff like that should be in about the same location. Try to work with the community to differentiate them with maybe some of the color palette station, how we handle roof facades, maybe a little bit of roof. So try to keep those very consistent for ease of customer use, ease of construction, ease of our own maintenance. As we come down West Broadway, as I said before, we are pretty much like 90% of this alignment is in the county roadway. So Hennepin County is the local funding partner for the project. And so we're working very closely with Hennepin County on the reconstruction of the roadways here, on the design here as we work through it. So coming off of West Broadway at 73rd, so down towards the southern end of Brooklyn Park, we transition over to center running on County Road 81. So this is an example of a flyover bridge for light rail that will have from to the center of 81 and traffic on there. Moving a little bit farther south, at the very south end of Brooklyn Park, is an example of the station at 63rd Avenue. So we have an existing 550 stall park and ride that Metro Transit owns at this location. We'll have the station there, but we'll be in the center of 81. We'll have a pedestrian connection from that park and ride over to the station location. So that's the on the right-hand screen, the bridge, pedestrian bridge is going to a circulation tower that gets us to the platform. Moving our way down in Crystal, here's a big infrastructure in Crystal. So County Road 81 and Bass Lake Road, that's on the left-hand screen. Fairly major intersection. It's county intersection. Traffic here. As we analyze the traffic in the light rail at this location, we're concerned with the amount of vehicles. There's probably about 10 lanes of traffic on 81, 10 lanes and everything going on there. Getting the station in there and keeping that intersection working well. So what we propose here and what we have in our design is an interchange. So our Road 81 will go up over Bass Lake Road in this location. So we get that through lane of traffic out of the intersection. So we really clean up the operation there. The bigger thing for us is we have a station here that's showing down just on the south side of Bass Lake Road going through the screen here. We keep the station down at grade, and by that we're able to have access to this location, especially at the south end where folks don't even have to cross traffic. So it's really big for safety bikes, connecting both sides of the roadway with trails and getting folks safely to the station and cleaning up the traffic. So good opportunity here. This is just some ideas of what that would look like as a finished project. So opening up the bridges underneath so they're light, they're inviting, but also you can see the trail on the right-hand side, or the sidewalk on the right-hand side goes right underneath 81, and it's a direct connection to either side. Only thing folks would have to cross are the tracks. Continuing down in Romsdale, as Ian said, this is one thing that came out of municipal consent with Robbinsdale. Where the station location went here in this area. So up and down is 40th Street, County Road 81 is the guideway through here, and we moved the station platform here to the north side of 40th. So just below that, we also have a park and ride proposed there, as well as we have an existing bus transit station a couple blocks away over by Hubbard and 42, 42nd. We're going to move that function over here and include that with the park and ride. So have that transit function in there, about a 290 stall park and ride in this location directly related to the station here. This gets good access to downtown Robbinsdale area, good access to park and ride, and good access to transfers from us. This is just a kind of a concept of what a transit station would look like here. We think that that first level, that's Road 81 and West Broadway is shown in the picture. There's in that block, there's about a 20-foot difference. So we're able to get park and ride on the bottom of this area, and then the bus so that's that grade with Botno, Road 81. And West Broadway side, we're able to come in pretty much right on the grade with that transit center, 3 buses in off of West Broadway. So very convenient, fits in with the location. Just an example of what concept would architecture look like, that transit way or transit station in Park and Ride. Continuing down through Robbinsdale, this is a interesting piece. So Lowry Avenue is coming through the screen here. On the left-hand side is North Memorial Hospital. Through this area is Theodore Worth Parkway and Victory Memorial. So this is a big part of the grand rounds around the Twin Cities for heads and bikes, the park system. So kind of wrestled around with this area. How did we get a station in here? Because there's a lot of infrastructure. There's 2 existing bridges that were just built in this location by Hennepin County. And the construction and contracts have been let and was even started as we were evaluating where we're going to go here. So we're going to have to work with those structures here. But the concept and what was in municipal consent right now is doing some minor surgery on the southbound bridge. It's set up for like 3 lanes of traffic. So bring the train down at grade for the platform. So we have good connectivity at grade for folks that live in the neighborhood, getting to the hospital in this area and everybody using the park in this area. So a little bit of a realignment to the parkway. That's what you see in the red is the parkway. Extend those bridges so we can get the station in that location. This area we are looking at and evaluating. There's some other concepts we're trying to refine this a little bit. So some more work can be done, but this is what is in our municipal consent plans. Getting into Minneapolis. So we were really, this is an opportunity as we finish this project from where we were earlier. We were going down also more highway, coming up the freight rail corridor, kind of down in the trench. Well, this is an opportunity to get to Minneapolis and serve folks that live in this area, a little bit higher density of ridership from folks here. So we would come down West Broadway. So right now, West Broadway is about 2 lanes of traffic each direction as it kind of winds through this area. A lot of curves through it. We'll be center running here, a lane of traffic on either side. Make sure that we have left turns at signalized intersections. But as we come down West Broadway, we get to about James before the commercial area. 94 is just off the screen here on the right side. We looked at continue running down West Broadway, but with all the businesses and everything there was so much disturbance to the right of way and to properties along there. We looked at moving the light rail. So what you see here is coming down West Broadway on the left-hand side. We angle off of West Broadway to get up to 21st. 21st is residential right now. We would make that street a transit way. So trains, bikes, peds to this location. And then along with it, this is a corridor here between 21st and West Broadway. Reconstruction of West Broadway would happen to keep the traffic and circulation of this area, along with the connection of the roadways in between it. So everything that you see colored here is in the project as construction with it. But that top part of 21st would be where the light rail is going. We'll have a station at James and then a station here at Lindale. 21st. So the other opportunity, it's just off the screen here as we're curving through here. A new bridge for light rail and for roadway that crosses the 21st extension that will go across 94 in this area. So chance to get vehicle traffic across there as well as a bridge for light rail. And so new bridge there. This was another area just that was included with our municipal consent process. Requested by the city of Minneapolis is the station at West Broadway, so just south of West Broadway on Washington Avenue, a center platform station in this location. And then as we get down into Minneapolis, we're more in urban construction here, so things get a little bit tighter here. Light rail comes down Washington Avenue and then makes the turn onto 10th. So that's what you see on the left-hand side, 10th Avenue. 10th comes underneath the 3rd and 4th viaducts that are coming in to Minneapolis. So we're changing that section of 10th right now, which is a lane of traffic each direction. We're taking vehicle traffic off of that, taking parking off of that. That will be a transit way again between Washington Avenue, just at the very top here, down to the viaduct area as transitway with, again, train peds and bikes through here. So taking the vehicles off at 10th in this location, we're going to have to accommodate for circulation in this area. So things that are shown here on these plans are the extension of the 8th. So right now, 8th connects from Washington Avenue to about 3rd. We'll bring it all the way through to 5th Avenue here. So what's shown connected underneath the viaducts would be new roadway for circulation. Potential towards a 9th connection here also. And then we're doing other things along in this area to help circulation through the area, accommodate for light rail coming through. So light rail will continue down 10th. We get to 7th, we turn 7th, and then we connect back into target state. Set up for the project. And just a better shot of what 10th looks like between there. It's very narrow right away here. You can see we're basically construction building face to building face, and sidewalks on either side with the bike lanes going down the south side of it. So this is looking west, basically from Washington Avenue, looking west towards the viaducts, towards the top. We'll be available for more questions here and available and go through and look at things.
Thank you, Nick. One thing I'll also mention, there's a lot of information that Nick just went through. There'll be more to this presentation in addition to the handouts that you have. Will also be posted online. It is being recorded, so it will be available on the project website that you can go back to in the future as well. And as Nick mentioned, once we're done with this, we'll be available to answer questions here. So I wanted touch on procurement strategy and next steps here as we move forward. As you know, this information session that we're going through is sort of part of a multi-phase industry outreach effort that we have. The goal is to spread awareness and generate interest among contractors and industry participants about this project and kind of put it out there that this is coming, as well as seeking input from the industry on potential risks, as well as the packaging strategies that we are proposing. There are 3 different strategies, and the expected delivery methods that we'll be pursuing, which are both design bid build, but one is your traditional low bid, the other is best value. And again, as we talk about this being a multi-phase approach, this began this entire process with us putting together a packet with those proposed packages rather, early August or mid-August roughly, for feedback, written responses rather from key primes and stake or subcontractors on this project. We asked for written responses by end of September. We got a good number of written responses to that. That was followed or is now followed with this information session we're holding. And subsequent to this, there will be one-on-ones with, again, key primes and subcontractors to talk more about some of the responses that were provided. All of this will feed into, again, our what we would like to put together as our path forward with the procurement strategy of this project. How are we going to package it, and how are we going to deliver each one of those packages through the procurement process? Once, again, all of this industry outreach effort is completed, we're going to analyze the responses we received, use that to help inform packaging strategies that we finalize and the delivery method that will help us move forward. And that, again, as I mentioned earlier, will help us finalize our assumptions that we'll have for our construction schedule as well as procurement schedule. So, in talking about these packaging strategies, I'll quickly just cover what they all entail here shortly. Again, as we put this out, the goal is for us to essentially encourage innovative thinking, reduce risks, and increase overall quality as we go through design and subsequently construction. So those are the key areas that we're looking at. In addition to making sure that what we put out there, as I mentioned, as we focus on anti-displacement and community prosperity, that we engage potential contractors and bidders early to make sure that small business, PE, and workforce are elements that are being thought out and thought about from the get-go. So with those goals in mind, we have 3 packaging strategies that were identified. I'm going to quickly fly through them. One thing I'll start with is in all 3 strategies, the station facilities, park and ride facilities, O&M, and of course vehicles are standalone packages. Those are all separate, and then everything else have been broken up differently in each approach. So with the first strategy being this one essentially takes out systems and keeps it a standalone package and has civil, track, and stations as one large package. So all in all, we're looking at 6 total packages. This is divided more or less around scope more than anything else, and it results in systems contract, and you interface closely with the individual civil track and OMF. The next one is probably this is the largest number of packaging. And this one it takes a geographical. So with Minneapolis being the bulk, a lot of the work project, a lot of complexities as well, it is broken out as separate from the other packages. So Minneapolis civil structures, track, and station civil work is one package. All the other cities are another package wrapped together, and then you again have your station facilities, parking lot, all, etc. With this being more geographically driven, again, it increases the number of packages that we have, and again, systems has to interface with all the same different packages as the last strategy, except there's Minneapolis as its own element. Finally, this is the as we look to find ways to minimize contract interfacing risks. This is one that make an attempt at that by reducing the number of contracts that we would have, which is 5 contracts, having civil track systems for the entire corridor as one large contract, and then again having your station facilities, park and ride OMF as the other contracts. I talked about best value procurement. Many of you may already be familiar with this process, but just to quickly give an overview of what it is. We're all familiar probably with low bid, and that's the traditional most common approach where we design and then we procure a separate contract for construction. This follows the same path, except there's greater focus on value. And value here is defined by qualifications, experience, strategic approach, and price. So price is not the single and only determinant here. This is kind of what we're looking at quite seriously as we look at the major civil construction. There are 2 possible ways of doing this. One, there's a 1-step, there's a 2-step procurement approach. The 1-step being that we go out and put an RFP out there, receive a certain number of proposals, and evaluate them based on the criteria we have. The 2-step is we add requests for qualifications, shortlist our pool of participants, and then requests for proposals. So if we were to take the 2-step, have that request for qualifications, just to put out some of the possible criteria that we put out there. Again, this is still being developed, and it's subject to the feedback that we received through this process. But we just want to put out some of the things that's more or less resume. It's very data driven, so we want to know contractor, the work history, key personnel resumes, group of qualifications, and maybe financial statements. Again, this is a sample of what it may include. And then the RFP is more technically driven. So that's where we would ask the hows. How does the contractor plan on addressing some of the scope as well as some of the risks that may be identified, and what is their proposed schedule, and then the price, that would be associated with that. And we would use that then to, in essence, select the lowest technically acceptable contract moving forward. With the best value option, something else that it enables us to do is to have it be a little more of an interactive approach, if you will, where we are able to increase our engagement with the proposers on this project. So we are able to have them help us essentially add value to the final proposal package that we're going to put out there for proposal. So that will help, or that can help identify perhaps some, I would say, value engineering solutions or other methods or other risks that we should be aware of and we should be working into our plans through the alternative technical concepts approach. And that also means that it would be a lengthier procurement process. So again, what we're looking at here is how can we maximize quality, reduce risks, and encourage overall innovative solutions and creative thinking as we move into construction. With value, with Met Council, I think this would be the first or one of very few, if any, public projects that the Met Council has put out through this best value procurement process. However, it is throughout the region, the nation, not by any means the only one. So what we are doing as we're moving forward is looking around us, consulting closely with our partners at state and MnDOT, and also looking nationally at other projects out there that have used this method to essentially make sure that what we put out there leverages and uses some lessons learned to help us make sure we do this in the most efficient manner possible. And just for everybody's benefit, we wanted to list some of the projects that are available that can be researched throughout the nation that I've pursued. So with all of that, bringing it together, looking at what it would mean with our tentative procurement schedule. As mentioned, we'd look to finalize this procurement strategy this fall, and from there, as design moves forward, we look to put, if we go down this two-step approach, we would put out and issue an RFQ sometime between second and third quarter of next year. It would then be followed by an RFP that would be issued hopefully within the first quarter of 2026. And let me walk that back. A draft RFP that will allow us to go through that informal engagement with contractors on some of the things that I mentioned with respect to risk and value engineering opportunities, and then issue the final RFP sometime the latter part of fourth quarter of 26, with the intent of hopefully awarding our major civil construction contract sometime in 2027, quarter one, possibly between quarter one and quarter two. So roughly that's the timeline we are looking at. That's why we're here today, kind of starting early in this process, based on lessons learned through past contracts, past construction works, starting early to engage folks and kind of have that dialogue happening. With that, I'll hand it to John.
Good morning. My name is John Tao. I'm the Senior Small Business Specialist working on this project. So as you all know, this is a federally funded contract, so there will be DBE program rules and DBE program goals on these contracts. The goals will be set individually for each contract. And along with that, the proposals, bids are required to meet or exceed the goals numerically. All good faith efforts need to be documented to include DBE, or any good faith efforts made to include DBE need to be documented. And then there will be a DBE evaluation. And then because this construction is taking place here in the metro, the goals, minimum workforce goals is 32% for POCI and then 20% for women. And that's measured by hours. That will be overseen by the Department of Human Rights. They have the oversight and responsibility and authority to oversee workforce. And then what we're also doing is we're taking the lessons learned from previous light rail projects and carrying them forward. One of the things that we had was, helping to educate DBEs more and prepare them for this type of work. working with DBEs and in the design phase and unbundling the scopes so that DBEs can better participate and plan for DBE participation into the design phase of things. And then prompt payment is always a very big and important thing to get the money to the DBEs sooner, and then being able to release the retainage to DBEs. And then for the construction workforce side of things, in order to have the capacity to meet those goals, we need to start training a lot sooner. Then utilizing community-based organizations that are out there doing workforce development, using their support services to support the workers and any issues that come up with over workforce. So those are some of the lessons that we are carrying forward. And if you don't know already, or if you haven't heard, earlier this year, May 9th, the FTA released some DBE program rule changes. And it was a lot out there, and this is applied all across the country. But in short summary, some of the big changes that we have is prompt payment that requires that we have a proactive monitoring worked into the contract. And for any non-compliance, there be penalties for not paying subcontractors promptly. In addition to that, there is some new counting methodology for DBE participation, and this is in relation to suppliers. There's a new category called the distributors. And then if DBEs are replaced or removed from a contract without approval, then there may be payment penalties or penalties for that. Payment can be also withheld. And then in the procurement phase of things, the bidders list any quotes, any bids that you have prior to bid or proposal time needs to be reported. And this is something that we will have to report to the FTA. What we're doing internally to prepare for this is we are preparing DBEs, offering trainings for DBEs leading up to construction, and even after the construction. We've contracted with an outside firm to support us in this. An example is next week we do have a training on how to bid and estimate. So that's some of the things that we're doing to support the small businesses here. In addition to that, we are reviewing and revising the payment monitoring mechanism so that we can better document and track the payment for these contracts. And then we're engaging early on with DBEs. We do plan on having an official DBE meet and greet prior to the RFP, and making sure that there is ample opportunity for DBE small businesses to engage with the potential prime contractors. Something else is we are working to put together a local hiring preference. This is something that's been done on other contracts and projects across the country. So that is something that we are working with Hennepin County to put together. And then in relaying information to the community and to all stakeholders, creating a DBE dashboard so that the data is able to be updated in real time and able to be reviewed by all stakeholders.
So that wraps up the presentation portion of this of today's information session. And again, there's a lot of information that was shared. In addition to the handouts, we'll have this available, it's recorded and available online. If there are questions specific to the request for industry feedback, we ask that you contact us through construction grid, MNC.state.mn.us. And again, as I mentioned earlier in this presentation, one thing we are working towards is developing an industry-facing page on our project website that would ultimately be updated and provide the latest developments as we move forward throughout the next year and a half or so, ultimately towards construction. And so with that, I know many of you RSVP'd through either the Microsoft Forms list. We have your contact information. You also may have RSVP'd through the Eventbrite link. If you did not do that and would like to stay in the loop, please make sure as you sign in, you provide an email address or contact information. One thing that we would like to do is kind of maybe that we're looking at right now is perhaps doing it some sort of a newsletter that we would be able to push out with this information and what is on our project website. So that will just be another way to stay in touch and learn about these upcoming key milestones as well. With that, we're happy to answer questions. Otherwise, I can also open it up and have it be an open forum. I believe there is coffee outside, and we do have the roll plots taped to, yes, and there are coffee outside. And then we have the roll plot from the 30% set that are posted out there, so you can look at them in person, kind of look at where things are at. Anyone with one of these name tags, please feel free to flag if you have questions. If they don't have an answer, they'll be able to flag one of other ones of us here that may have or would have the answer. So happy to answer questions. Otherwise, thank you all so much.
Ian Hodgkinson, also nice to meet you. One quick question is, between now and an RFQ June-ish timeframe next year, are you guys anticipating any other further milestones in terms of industry engagement aside from some of the newsletters? Are you thinking maybe other sessions or a little bit more interactivity? Just curious what your thoughts are on that.
Thank you. So the question is, are there going to be any other industry outreach events between now and the RFP milestone that would be later in 25? We haven't planned any in particular. As John mentioned, as we move towards issuing the RFP, there will be a meeting that will be set up. So there is for sure that coming up. I think as we look at the feedback we receive here, and depending on the nature of changes or developments on the project, and what everyone's I guess perception is towards these types of events, we can certainly look into that and see what else we can do to make sure we're maximizing communication and coordination on what's coming.
Are you going to share the list of the primes?
Share the list of the primes that have reached out to us.
You're going to have the meetings tomorrow.
Oh, with that we have the meetings tomorrow? That's a good question. You know what? Let me look and see what we can actually share. And I'm looking to the back with our procurement folks.
I would say I'm Auburn Dees, by the way. I'm the manager of construction solicitations for the council. I think that you can share the names of the firms that you are meeting with in the next 2 days.
So thank you, Auburn. So again, just in case that was not, you didn't hear that, we would be able to share a list of the primes we are. Thanks, Nick. Yes, we will also post the sign-in sheet for this event of everyone who attended. Any other questions? All right. Well, again, I very much appreciate you all taking this time to come out here, and then let us go until noon, and we'll hang around. So. Yeah, feel free to help yourself to some coffee and be happy to chat.